Welcome back, everybody. Tim Berry here, Baywatch Arms and Accessories, and this I can't remember which part it is, but this is the final part for the Beretta 950 Cerakote refinish, and I got the replacement grips in. And just to give you an example of something here, you can see hopefully how much those shrunk, and you can see how much those shrunk. So be careful when if you're going to Cerakote and do some grips. I knew better than to do that, but every once in a while you think you're smarter than the equipment, and you will make a mistake. So, but what we're going to do right now is we've got all these parts coated, and we're just going to do the final assembly. This is real simple. You can see the patterns that's on this, and I think what I'm going to start with, which is what I have kind of tendency to believe that is the biggest pain in the butt, and that's this spring here. Okay, this spring is I'm not sure what they call this spring. It kind of does two things. It is your slide spring or your recoil spring, and this little tab right here that you can see, this little tab right here also is the spring for your barrel release lever here. So this way, this is loose, so this spring does kind of two things in one, and it's kind of a pain in the butt, but I've already got this pin started. So what this does is you have to kind of finagle it in here, and then these two legs right here have to go on the outside of the frame, and they'll line up on this little edge here and on this little edge here. So let's get this spring in, and they're tweaked in a little bit, so I have to spread them just a little bit, and I'm going to slide this in place where this this bottom hole, this pin right here, is going to retain that hole in that spring. So I've already got it started, so I could go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and tap that in a little bit more. Well, might as well go ahead and put it all the way in, and I'm going to feel it and make sure that it's flush. And I'm going to make sure it's good on both sides. Now, this is the fun part. I don't think you can see very well, but I'm going to try to put some light on it. You can see how that spring is to the rear. Well, the spring is to the rear of the hole. So I have to push that little hoop in the spring forward while I'm putting in that pin, the lever. And that's the part that is the pain, because you want this to go in just to get it started, and then you're going to have to I'm going to use the flat blade end of this screwdriver. Now if you had an old screwdriver, my personal feelings would be to get your Dremel tool, cut a little V-notch in there, and that way you could hook on that and push it. So what I'm going to be doing is pushing it forward and then getting the pin in. So I don't think I can hold this and do this while I'm showing you on the camera, so I'll have to show you after the fact. Okay, I've got it started. And you can see why they say that's a pain in the butt, because that likes to pop off. Now you can see, I hope so, I'm going to try. If you see the pin, there's the lever coming in, and on the front side of that you can see that spring. It needs to be on the front. Now the rest of this should go in easy. It's just a matter of manipulating it a little bit, and once you get it kind of into the other side, there we go. Now I just want to make sure that this is lined up between the two stop points, and you can see now that this returns that spring. That spring returns that barrel lock lever, because that's going to lock your dealie in there. Now, the next easiest spring to put in is this little Sear spring, okay? And it's really kind of simple. It goes in on the right side, and you can see this little flat area right here, and this little bull nose on the end. So the flat side, or the flattest side of this spring, I should say, goes against that wall, just like so. And then you're going to put this other leg of it behind the leg of the Sear. And then that is your Sear spring, and that's all that does. And see, I hate this spring because it'll scratch things and scratch my nice Cerakote finish. So in order to prevent that from happening anymore, I'm going to go ahead and put the slide on. Now I have already put the firing pin in here. I put a little oil on it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get this all ready to put the slide on. Now the first thing I'm going to do is take the trigger guard, which doubles as a spring for the barrel. I'm going to put that in place, and you see that little square tab right there. That slides in on the bottom of the trigger guard area, and then the upper portion goes into here. Okay, just pops up in there. Now there's this little curve right here. This little curve, you want it to go behind the pin. So we're going to take this, we're going to get our barrel somewhat in position underneath that, and we may or may not have to use a tapered pin to line this up. I'm not real sure, and it may be easier to do that, so I'm probably going to fight with this for a few minutes. Okay, I've got that in. It's not held very good, but I am going to try to tap a little bit, and it didn't work. So I'm going to look at this at a couple different positions and see, and I may have to smack the duty out of it just to get it started. And that is not working, so I am going to approach this from a different angle. I'm going to get me a smaller pin that tapers a little bit. Get it started in there. Now I know that's started, so now we're going to tap on it some and see if I did get it. I think I got it that time. So I'm gonna I didn't get it. So here's what I may try to do. I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can get this barrel locked in the locked position and see if that helps any at all. It may. And it may not. Let me get my flashlight and see how. See, I am just not getting that lined up, and there's not really much of a leadway with that taper pin to hold it and get good pressure. So I'm gonna try one thing on off camera and see. Oh well, it's just not gonna. You're not gonna be able to see it because the camera's pointing a different way. But I'm gonna take it to my vise, which I have rubber jaws on my vise, or may not want to call them rubber jaws, but they're a nylon. They're kind of a soft nylon jaw. And what I'm going to do is see if I can use that, part of that, to squeeze this in place a little bit. And if I can squeeze it in place a little bit, just to get that started. I don't know that this will work. Okay, that worked. So now I'm going to finish tapping in the barrel spring, or the barrel pin. And that is that. And of course this moved forward again and screwed me up. So now what I want to do is put on my slide. Okay, now the slide, this one goes on weird. It does have two little tabs on here on the back, so that's really the area that holds the slide on. So what we're going to do is you want to come in past the ejector and drop that down onto the frame. Make sure you're in those grooves, and there's a little area. There's two little areas, and there's two little areas right here where the front of this spring needs to go in. So you want to hook into those. Make sure you're into those. Okay. And as you're sliding that back, you want to make sure that that catches. And that's the one of the tricky parts about it. So I've got both of the pins are caught, and then you just slide it back, and that's what holds. It also holds the front, because you can actually lift that up. So that is what holds the slide down also. So, and then that is what you see. Now this should be coming back, and I'm not sure why it's not. It could just be a little bit tight because of the Cerakote and such as that. So now, last swing we got is the hammer spring. Now, the hammer spring goes in this little groove right here, and you want to make sure that this is orientated, that the little elbow right here goes to the rear, and you'll also see there's a corresponding flat spot that will fit down into the frame. So you want to put this in there. Make sure your hammer is released and it's not in the cocked position, and drop this into the hole. This spring is a little tight fitting there. You just have to put a little pressure, and then get you a flat blade screwdriver and take this from this end right here and push this towards that, and it'll drop right in that slot. Now make sure you put your hands on there so that this doesn't go flying. And these hammer springs are always a pain in the butt. Sometimes you may just have to do your thumbs, and almost had that one in. And that is in. So basically this one, the internals are in. And this is just going to need a little bit of oil. Now before I put the grips on it, I'm going to use, this is the oil, I just like using this. It's the Hops number 9. It has a little needle on it. You can get in there to little nooks and crannies and put some oil on all the parts. You can get pretty much into everything, and you're not putting daubs and daubs of oil. And I'm just putting a little oil everywhere, and I'm actually going to put some on this pin where the barrel release is, and I'm going to just work that a little bit, and that will work down into there. And I'm also going to drop some into the groove where the barrel pivots, and just work it a little bit. That will eventually work its way down into those grooves. And the movement will also, if there's any rough spots on the Cerakote, it'll smooth that down. I'm going to put a little into where the trigger goes into the frame, because that was an area that I did not remove. So, and then I'm just going to work the trigger a little bit. And all that will work in and get everything oiled. And I'm just going to look, and I'm going to see where things might be touching. Put a little oil in there. Drop a couple drops beside the hammer where the pivot is. And work that a few times. And see, then that's still a little bit tight. So I will, that should spring back freely. I'm going to wipe this down. Now I'm going to put the grips on. Now I've already assembled the magazine. That's kind of a no-brainer, you know. If you don't know how to disassemble a magazine, then let me know and I'll show you a tutorial on it. But this magazine was simple to do. So we're going to put the grips on. Now on the left side is where the button is, the mag release button. So that is it. That is the finished Beretta. You see, we got the new grips. We got the scroll work on the side. We've got the scroll work on the front. We've got the scroll work on the back, on the top. New grips. The other thing I wanted to check was, excuse me, when I first got this in from the customer, the mag button had a tendency to catch a little bit, and it was very hard to push in. And so I just wanted to check that. Now the mag is still a little bit tight, but that's fine. The thing that I want is the I want the mag button a little bit further. I'm not gonna, well, actually that is screwed all the way in, and it gets a little hard to push when you do that. So I'm gonna back it out a half a turn, and that is it. Because the other thing that it wasn't doing was it didn't want to catch properly. So and I'm just going to back this out. Now see, that get right there gets where it starts to feel good. It's easy. So I'm probably going to leave it there, and what I'm going to do off camera is unscrew this completely, put a couple dabs of some medium Loctite in there, and that should be good right there. That is the best that it feels. You know, the hammer feels good. I can feel the half cock is clear and present, and then the full cock. Now this model did not have the safety, so of course, don't dog me for releasing the hammer on the firing pin with nothing in there. It's only a 950 Beretta. It's not. And if I really wanted to, this is if I don't happen to have, if I'm doing a larger caliber, I'll actually take a pencil with an eraser. This one doesn't have one, but this is too small, and if I don't happen to have a snap cap for that that size caliber, and I'm doing a refinish on, I will actually slide the eraser end in first and just kind of hold it there and let the firing pin hit the eraser. And so this feels good. I may have to pop this barrel forward and see if you'll see right here. I can see where this barrel locks. There's a little bit of tension in here, so I may have to do a little bit of work on that, you know, off camera before I give it to the customer. But that is the Beretta 950 Cerakote refinish. This is it's a nice little handgun, even though it's not a what you would class as a self-protect round, you know, size caliber. It's a great little pocket gun, and you know, if you had to protect yourself in this with this, it's going to deter people. Don't have to be a 45, but this is complete. Stay tuned, or check to CerakoteGunCoatings.com. I'm going to submit this one to them. You can check on my website, which is BaywatchArms.com. Look for the handgun galleries. Once I get some photos, this one will be it'll be submitted there, and the video, of course, my YouTube channel, and this will also be posted to my Patreon page, which is patreon.com/Baywatch Arms, or Baywatch Arm, I can't remember. And just take a look at it, and please share this video, and you know, if you like it, leave me some comments. If you dog me or trash me, I may not reply back. but I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you were able to get something out of this, even at the least. You know, some people have a tendency to tear down a firearm, and, you know, not necessarily if they've never done one before, which I've never done one of these. Take photos of, you know, once you get the grips off, take photos, flip it over, take photos on the other side. You know, it might help you put it back together. So at least I hope it can do that. And I do appreciate you watching. And thanks to all my Patreons. And we will see you on the next video. Bye.